Jacinda, you're at it again. Your motto was let's do this. You know, back in March, we all bought into the greater meta-narrative. We saw what's happening over in Spain and over in Italy, where up to 10% of the population was dying, so we didn't want that repeated here. But the reality is, for some reason here in New Zealand, there was only about 1% of us who got infected died. And most of those were from an old folks home or people who were immunocompromised. So the reality is that it was actually just a fraction of 1% of us that were compromised. You know, you talk about poverty, and yet by shutting us all down, you're exacerbating poverty. People are losing their jobs, businesses are folding, and there's all sorts of economic hardship that have been inflicted upon us. You talk about housing shortage, and yet you won't allow the tradesmen, builders, labourers, and those that are involved in building houses to go and do the job. You talk about home ownership, yet as a result of these policies you're bringing in of shutting the country down, people aren't going to be able to hold on to their homes. There are going to be foreclosures, mortgagee sales, bankruptcy, and all those sort of things. And people who currently own their own homes are going to be lining up in the rental portfolios. You talk about reducing unemployment, but that's not happening. We're going to see the whole unemployment figures mushroom out of control. You talk about mental health, and yet young people and women in particular are going to be going through grief and despair of not having a job and not having an income and not really knowing what lies in their future. You know, for the last 6 months we've had the greatest minds on this planet trying to find a vaccine. We've put our hopes in a vaccine. But is a vaccine ever going to come? Can't find one in 6 months, maybe 6 years. And at the meantime we have cycles and cycles of COVID-19 waves going around the globe. So here's my solution. My solution is to do what you've done with the rest homes. Shut them off, test the workers before they go into the homes to make sure that they haven't got high temperatures, and keep those people who are immunocompromised in quarantine. But for the rest of us, open up the economy, open up the country, let tourists come back into the nation, and basically reinvigorate that part of our economy. Bring back the workers from overseas that the farmers and the orchardists and other people need to make the economy run properly. Rather than trying to destroy it, we need to build it. We need to build a prosperous future for our nation. And it's not going to happen by basically shutting down the whole economy every few months when another wave hits us of coronavirus. So please, 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 I urge you, don't shut us down. Let the economy continue to run. Let jobs continue to flourish so that we have a future, rather than being a bankrupt country at the bottom of the planet that nobody can come to. In the meantime, I'm going to go for a ride on my motorbike while I still can, because I'm not really sure whether I'm going to be able to do this in another week or two's time, because you might have us all locked down to level 4 and we aren't going to be able to go out for rides and do things we can enjoy, because you've killed it all, because you're so scared of this little wee tiny microscopic fiend, a little microscopic strip of RNA we call a virus. You know, the human population has been challenged with viruses forever. If you look at our DNA, it's full of retroviruses that will challenge us. Half a millennium ago there was the Black Plague, and that waves the Black Plague for years and years. They reckon killed about 200 million people 500 years ago. We also had the Spanish flu 100 years ago, killed 50 million people. But the rest of the population built up herd immunity. They carried on life as normal. So life is fatal, and We just need to get over it and just live life, not in fear, but basically live life to the best that we can, not imprisoned in our own homes.